Hiya, just painted the blue and the clear coat about 2 hours ago, and that's 3 coats of medium solids clear, and it's come out looking pretty slick. So there's a little bit of dirt there, and I got one more somewhere else. Oh yeah, just there. Other than that, it's not too bad. Well, I think there's one other little bit, but that'll nib out. Yeah, it's got a good fairly flat looking finish to it. So it shouldn't take a lot of polishing. I probably won't cut. I don't know what I'm going to do with the inside. I might cut it back, polish it, I don't know. But that's that. When that's good enough, I can turn it over and paint the other side. The doors are done, and they're looking pretty good, so I'm glad about that. They're looking well slick. So I don't know if I can get a picture of the doors, but anyway, and this one here.
Who's under the grass, honey?
There's the inside of the boot lid, just giving that 2 coats of clear just around that area, and then I've got to turn it over and do the other side, but that's as far as I've got. So far it's all come out good. Oh yeah. Well, for the benefit of this series of videos, this is the boot lid after I finally put the base coat on and the white lines and 3 coats of medium solids clear, and so that's really 1 cover coat and 2 wet coats. And it's 17 hours now since I sprayed it, and it's now well hardened off. It's pretty good. You can really easily handle it, and I've actually wet cut this now with 1500. That'll be the 2000 now, won't it? No, that's a piece of 15. You'll see the 5, and that is 2000, and I'm using a piece of flat bendy rubber, and I was using a little bit of soap, but it's gliding over so well with the soap that I didn't feel it cutting, so I've just been doing it with plenty of fresh water only, and it's cut back really well. There was a couple of bits of dirt in here, but that dirt is now completely gone. Those bits, I got a really hard job, and there was 2 or 3 bad bits on here, and really, all intents and purposes, you cannot see them at all. So I've wet sanded that bit, 1500, nearly gone, then 2000 to get rid of the orange peel, and same there. I haven't done these 2 panels here. This is just as an exercise, just to see what it cut back like, actually, because I couldn't resist. And I don't know, you can't really, for the benefit of this camera, you can't really see it. You never can, but it's looking absolutely flat. There's a little bit of orange peel still in it, but I'm not going to worry about that. And it looks absolutely gloss shiny. Very minimal edge there, because I sprayed the white lines and then I sprayed the blue up to it, so I had to double mask it in effect, but it's minimal. I got a little defect there. That's where the paint builds up on the tape, but there was a little bit, and I didn't fuss and faff around with it. I just went over the edge, because the more I faffed with it, the worse it was getting, so I left it. And but this, on another video, I think it was AC Cobra rebuild part, I don't know, 1s to 3, when I started making some videos. This boot lid, this piece was a good 1/2 inch too short So all this section has been increased in length to allow the boot lid to move back, so that the back corner there would match the corner on the car. So all this piece is all brand new from about here around. So for the benefit of that, you can see that it's come out very well. It's still a massively thick panel, but I can't do anything about that. And so it's come out and it's looking alright. I'm not exactly an expert, you know. So there, look, there's a shot across there. It's looking absolutely, I'm going to say that's absolutely perfect. Because this car was far from perfect. It was a load of rubbish. And that is my catchphrase, because it was absolutely crap, I'm afraid. So I've had to work like an absolute navvy, and I've got this, that's looking really good. And I've got all this is looking good. I've got to wet sand this, but I haven't bothered. So this is still orange peely. I don't know if you can make that out, but it's got a nice sheen to it. All this work's had to be done. There's the built bonnet. So put the white lines on the top, and I've got white lines going round underneath. I haven't done anything to this one. I've got a couple of bits of dirt in it, and when the blue came around this corner up over to there, and then I half soft masked it up to that edge, halfway up that width, and put the blue down overlapping the blue, and then I rolled back the tape by pulling it down so that the tape was hanging off there, the masking, and then I clear coated it along there and down the full length, so it's overlapping that edge. But because there was a little edge of blue, I went around with a bit of 1200 and just literally like that wiped that edge off, just like that, with a bit of 1200. You may see it or not. Yeah, there. I scratched the base coat because I came around and the tape went up on the top, and then I dropped back down. So by accident I have scraped the base, and now, yeah, there, look, you can see a little scratch. If I just got a little bit of T-cut, I could have just wiped over that, and I reckon that would have gone. It goes down to about here. So I've got to live with that one. If it really annoys me, I'll end up painting this piece again and blow it right in up to here, match into this panel line. There's a little bit of a lip, so I can use that lip and blend up to it, and then clear coat it and cut it back flat. But that's pretty good. It's a little bit hazy because it hasn't been buffed or anything. It's sunk right back. Like I said, this is about 17 hours. A bit of dirt there, but that's looking very good. This surface here, a little bit of dirt, another little bit of dirt. But I reckon for an amateur, it's come out professional. That's a professional finish. That's a 2.5 grand spray job so far for 400 quid's worth of paint, and I haven't used it all yet. So work that one out. But there's a hell of a lot of labour on this bonnet. When I painted the white lines underneath, so we'll pretend this is the white lines that are underneath. When I sprayed the first coat of a light coat, dust coat, just to sort of cover, like a mottled finish, that was okay. When I hit it with a second coat, there was this many fisheyes in it. I'm not joking, that many, everywhere. What I'd done is swore at it profusely, walked away, and once that had flashed off, obviously I didn't use base coat, I used, this here is some top coat, because the white lines under here is a bit of an afterthought, and I used the same paint that I used on the inside of this roof, which is straight top coat. So I used up some of that, and then I cut it back. So it was a gloss paint, and it parted on all the fisheyes, or dirt, or silicone. So what I'd done is let it flash off 15 minutes. It was really dry. And then I put on layer after layer of a fairly dry satin finish top coats, and built up the layers one on top of the other over these fisheyes. And I kept the air gun wherever there was some bad ones, blowing air to flash off the paint, and then blow on another layer of fairly dry satin finish, and built up the layers and used up the paint. And when I'd done that, I wet cut it back with 600 wet and dry, so it was a matte finish, and then went over all the shiny fisheye areas still that you could still see, but they were filled in with a grey Scotch-Brite, and that dulled off all the fisheye areas. And I degreased it and cleared it, and you wouldn't even know they were there. You cannot see them. It's absolutely gone over perfectly okay. So I reclaimed that, and I took a chance on it. I think I've done something similar to that before, but only on a couple of little fisheyes. But then I carried out some experiments to find out where the fisheyes came from, and I have absolutely no idea, because it didn't do it anymore. I put it down to what happened is that the minute I put the first coat of white paint on, I forgot to degrease that panel where the white goes between the masking paper. And as the paint hit the car, I realised I'd made that mistake, or forgot to degrease it. But it was too late then, because it had a sticky wet layer of paint on. What I should have done is stopped and left that really go off to the point where I could have wet sanded that mist coat out and degreased it, and then went on and did it again. But I didn't, and I carried on, and I ended up with a load of fisheyes, because ever since I've had no fisheyes in any of this. And I tested out on another piece of material, the same tack rag, the same spray gun, the same paint, the same thinners, the same piece of sponge that I was resting the bonnet on to stop it digging, everything. And I didn't even bother to wipe off. It was the side of a spray thinners tin I sprayed onto, and it did not fisheye one bit. So the only thing I can put it down to is just hot, sweaty hands or whatever touching the paintwork. So that's it. So you must degrease it. Do not forget. Otherwise you'll have a gazillion fisheyes, because that's what I had. There was about a gazillion. I counted every one. There was that many of them. But I've still got a little dig there. That's like a little pit. And if I can find them quickly, my little friends, the pinholes. There's just about making out. There's one there. I can't get this stupid thing to focus. Well, there's a couple of little tiddly ones there. Come home to roost. And because I did check it over, but there's another one. A little bugger. Yeah, a couple there. But this is inside the door, so I'm not that bothered. There, I can just about make them out. Yeah, but there isn't any. I don't think there's any on the actual main surface. So that's good. And on here, because there was thousands, absolutely thousands on an earlier video. There was thousands of pinholes. I had little patches of stopper everywhere. But it's just dirt, little bits of dirt. But there is no pinholes. And there was a couple of pinholes. It's on the other side of this, actually. I can't show you. And if you don't fill them in, the primer won't cover them, and the filler won't, and the paint won't cover them. It just parts around them as like a fisheye. But it's a real black little speck of a hole. So going over that first coat of primer, like I did on an earlier video, showed up all the majority of all the pinholes. Then you can go around it took me 5 or 6 times walking around the car around this panel and then nicking them in with a bit of stopper, and then knocking them down with a bit of 180, and then putting the other 2 or 3 coats of primer on, absolutely is a must. If you did them at the end, you'd have, and then you painted the blue over it, you could, but you'd have thousands of little patches of different colour stopper. So you may have trouble covering it, but that's why I did it in the beginning and then blew over the primer, the 2nd and 3rd coats of primer, or 4th coat of primer, and then block sanded them down. That way all those little stopper pinhole imperfections were covered up with primer. And it's, well, I gotta say, that's looking well good. Even though I've got a couple of a little mark there, that's a self-inflicted wound, and something here I missed. But other than that, and a piece of fluff that landed in it there, and I had to pick it out, but it was under the 1st coat of clear, so there's a little bit of dirt there, and if that really bugs me, I'm going to have to do a little spot repair there and re-clear these lines. Oh, for God's sake. Never mind. This is a million times better than the original paintwork on the original car. If the car, but I haven't done the bodywork yet, I haven't done the rest of the car, so, you know, I've got to finish it off, and I haven't done all this here yet. So I've got to paint that lot yet, but if it comes out like that, and comes out like that, and comes out like that, it's going to look like the dog's doodads, I'll tell you. So I'm well chuffed with it. It's looking really good.